think for me the starting point was animation itself. So when I joined NID in 2010, it started with figuring out animated narratives, and actually most of the comics I have made so far, which is actually two, have either gone from storyboards for animation to a comic form. So I haven't really written a comic from scratch with the intention of it just being a comic, because I enjoy thinking more in terms of animated film. And I mean, there are lots of things that work in comics but that don't work in film, and the other way around. My earliest influences were again probably newspaper comics, and I have read I read Tintin fairly early, and that was a big influence. There was a lot of copying of that, and then I was a big fan of Calvin and Hobbes and other American newspaper comics while growing up. Maybe not from the Indian comic scene per se, but like my style in general, as well as the stories I enjoy telling, they do have a very Bengal rooted influence. Okay. I think because again for me it was largely about rediscovering. When we came back to Bengal, like I said, I grew up elsewhere. When we came back, it was an active rediscovering the art, and like it has an indigenous art movement in itself in Bengal. So trying to figure out where that came from, and visually adding that to the kind of narratives I was getting fascinated with, especially again while making films. So I've made a 15-page entry for long form. It's an adaptation of a film that I'm working on, which in turn is an adaptation of a poem by Tagore, but blended with elements of a real life event in West Bengal in the 1980s, because there were some very interesting parallels there. Always, I like starting right from the newspaper cartoon again, which has had a direct influence on me. It's I think it's the understatement of comics. Like in a film, you can add your sound, you can add your music, you can sensationalize it. But in a comic, it's a text and image, so it's a step more understated. And a lot of comics have been very political, and especially because of their inherent silence, they have a much more they have a much larger tendency towards stronger sarcasm, stronger statements to be made. So, and especially caricature in general, the idea of lampooning. So, and even now, like a lot of comics that have been made, even in the long form, if you go through all the works, a lot of them do have a voice. They're not exactly playing it safe either. Yeah, I think there's a big readership for comics in India, because I mean, in whatever circles I go to, I mean, over the years you've seen the comic section in bookstores kind of expand. I've seen some good comic books and graphic novels come out of India. Met some of the writers, and you know, everyone's interested. Everyone's doing their best. Everyone's doing whatever it takes to put it out there. There's the internet now. So it's good. It's quite inspiring all around. Once upon a time, one had to worry about how the comic would get out there, how the comic would, like, would it be published, would a newspaper syndicate it, would any of that happen? But now, I mean, I think social media is one of those good things which just allows you, and many people I've seen end up doing a daily cartoon where, like, even if it's just describing the circumstances of their life right now, it's a document, and it's and like from the mundane to the exceptional, it's all a visual record. It's about what we all do and our experience in general. So it's much easier and there are much fewer worries, and I think that should be taken full advantage of. And anything can be put out there now. It will get a viewership, you'll get honest feedback. Everyone's looking to read good things, and they're always happy when they find it. So